Hello everyone, and welcome to my presentation. My name is Bailey Monroe, and today I'm going to be discussing my knowledge mobilization strategy for KIN 572. Today's presentation is geared towards research literate coaches working with swimmers of a variety of ages who want to become elite. After completing my critical analysis of 5 peer-reviewed journal articles all connected to the idea of building a better breaststroker using modern insights, I'm excited to present across 4 different areas. I'll be highlighting what we can say after reviewing these articles, what we do not know, what conclusions we can make, and how this can be integrated into our daily training environments in a meaningful way. Based on the 5 articles I reviewed, here's what we can say about breaststroke. Breaststroke is different, specific, and inefficient. Many studies about the broader swimming population likely don't apply to breaststrokers and vice versa. It requires its own specific research to gain meaningful insights. Breaststroke has an extremely high skill ceiling with differences in muscle activation between world-class swimmers at the top 8 level and world champions. For example, only world champion swimmers were able to activate their calves on the upkick to be able to bring their body into a better line. That was not present in world-class swimmers. Factors like range of motion, muscle activation, and coordination all matter, and they interact with each other. Sprint breaststrokers competing in the 50 and 100 meter events seem to respond well to dryland training, but lots of different factors can lead to 200 meter success. However, not every intuitive factor is well represented. For example, performance on counter movement jumps was thought to apply to stroke length and breaststroke kick due to the power generated by the legs. However, that was only found to be true in specific scenarios, so things don't always work out as expected. It's important to focus on moving in the right direction and developing athletes holistically. One thing that's interesting is that the stroke is much more susceptible to breakdown at lower intensity, with higher stroke similarity at higher intensity. For example, swimmers swimming at 80% of max and 100% of max were much more similar than between 60 and 80% of max, so there's much more breakdown when swimmers are swimming at a lower intensity level. Generally, fast heels are good. Being able to get the feet up quickly in the recovery, flex the feet quickly, and generate power, that is a very useful skill, and we want athletes to swim sharp in a repeatable way. We want them to be able to activate muscles quickly and consistently across a variety of speeds and intensity levels. Generally, what we're looking for is high propulsion and low drag. So what do we not know about breaststroke based on these 5 articles? Well, first of all, we don't have an ideal stroke profile because it doesn't exist. There is no perfect stroke. It's the connection of an individual swimmer's anthropometrics with some principles of biomechanics that will create their technique. And we don't have the perfect connection of anthro and biomech quite yet. We don't have the interaction between muscle activation patterns and strength power metrics. And we don't even necessarily have optimal warm-up practices to sequence correct firing and prepare them in that way. We don't know what elements of the stroke are relative and which are absolute. That is, which elements are changing with respect to the stroke cycle time. As the rate speeds up, some factors speed up, but others maintain their duration, and elements such as the glide will shorten excessively. We don't know how beginning swimmers initially conceptualize breaststroke or what the best cues or teaching methods are. We don't have an optimal sequence for teaching the stroke that helps kids get over the early hurdles that hold them back in their coordination. Finally, we don't know what elements are best served by realist or relativist methodologies. We don't have a sense of one true truth on the perfect stroke, but perhaps by learning from other swimmers we can help develop profiles that can help move individual athletes forward. When it comes to doing stroke analysis, we don't have the best possible way of breaking up the stroke. We only have arbitrary methods that have been used in research. Now, what conclusions can we make from the sum of this knowledge? Well, breaststroke is a complex skill with a lot going on, no matter what level you're performing it at and whether you're successful or not. Perspective impacts perception. To me, that means how you physically view the stroke alters what you look for and the conclusions you draw. In a study, where the camera is placed or where you as a coach on deck are looking at the stroke from, that will impact what you're looking for and the conclusions you'll draw. For example, if you're viewing head on, you're going to be looking more at the lateral or vertical elements rather than front to back elements because that's all you can see. It is so important to take a holistic approach that includes the kinematics and technique, the temporal or time elements, the neural or brain-body connection, and individual anthropometrics to be able to develop the ideal stroke for them. It can be tough to generate knowledge in these studies with small sample sizes and cumbersome equipment, so it's important to augment these smaller quantitative studies with rich qualitative information to paint a bigger picture. You as a coach or researcher will need to gradually build your sample size and body of evidence for your practice. Finally, how can we integrate these insights into our clubs in a practical way? It's important to coach the individual for the stroke and event within an overarching technical vision. You have an overall idea, but then you tailor it for the athlete. It's important to build in daily routines like well-structured activation that supports success. You need to have a wise, holistic eye, so we don't dismiss trivial stroke factors based on false flags or easy rules. We're coaching athletes that are diverse. We need to experiment safely in the field with a variety of teaching methods to determine efficacy, what works for us or this generation of kids, and we need to leverage resources in the public domain because there are so many races and rich coach interviews available, in addition to research that helps us identify what is evidence-based so that we can support our practice. Finally, we need to embrace technology that provides metrics because that will allow us to apply what we're learning from research. That concludes my knowledge mobilization strategy presentation. Thank you very much for watching.